Okay, when you think about like the absolute biggest video game franchises ever,
Yep.
your Mario's, GTA, Call of Duty.
The usual suspects, yeah.
Right. But here's something wild. Need for Speed. It sold over 100 million copies.
Yeah, really? That many?
Yeah. Makes it the fifth best-selling franchise
Huh.
ever. It's actually outsold Zelda, Madden, Final Fantasy, even Donkey Kong.
That's genuinely impressive. It really shows you how long it's been around and how it keeps connecting with people.
It's got this staying power. And that's kind of what we're digging into today, that whole journey.
The evolution of it all.
Exactly. We found this great retrospective video from the Metal Jesus Rocks YouTube channel. It covers the first 10 games.
Okay, so a good chunk of the early history?
Yeah, the thing of this is our deep dive into how this racing giant got started and changed over time.
Sounds good. Looking at how it started, how it adapted technologies, what players wanted.
Mm-hmm. Let's get started then. Back to the beginning. 1995. The very first one, just called The Need for Speed.
Although the full title was actually Road and Track Presence, The Need for Speed.
Oh, right. That road and track connection.
Yeah.
That says something immediately, doesn't it?
It really does. It sort of signaled, hey, we're taking the cars seriously. A touch of realism, maybe?
And it started on the 3DO. That
Yeah.
was not exactly everywhere.
No, definitely not the biggest console. But the game must have been good because they ported it. DOS, PlayStation 1, Sega Saturn 2.
So what made it special back then? The video points to, like, a realistic driving model for its day.
Yeah, realistic feel, pretty impressive car sounds. They mentioned realistic shifting. Oh, and the police chases started right here.
The famous police chases. The beginning of an era.
Absolutely. Compared to other racers around then, like Test Drive, it sounds like Need for Speed had a bit more depth, especially on consoles.
Okay, fast forward just a couple of years. 1997, Need for Speed 2. And here, things change a bit.
Definitely a shift. They seem to move away from that hardcore realism.
Yeah, more towards an arcade feel.
Exactly. Probably to get more people playing, Make it more pick up and play fun rather than pure simulation.
And they packed it with cool cars, like
Yeah.
super rare exotic cars for that time.
Yeah, a really desirable roster. And they expanded the locations, too. Tracks in North America, Asia, Europe, Australia
Yeah.
felt bigger.
Global. And wasn't there a special PC version? Something about 3D cards?
That's right, yeah. A special edition with support for 3D accelerator cards. Pretty cutting edge for 97. Shows they were already pushing the tech side.
Okay, the 1998 Need for Speed 3, Hot Pursuit. I think the title kind of says it all for this one.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you could say that. The police chases weren't just in the game anymore.
It became the main event, right?
Totally. Ramped up the intensity, became a core part of its identity.
And they used the CD format in cool ways, too, like music videos,
Yeah.
audio commentary.
Mm-hmm. Building out the experience beyond just the racing, making it feel like a bigger package.
Adds a bit more personality.
That for sure.
All right, next year, 1999. Game number 4. Need for Speed, High Stakes, or Road Challenge in Europe.
Yep. Same game, different names. And this one brought some big gameplay changes.
Like new modes, High Stakes, Getaway, Time Trap, and a career mode.
Yeah, that career mode was key. Gave you something to work towards, a real sense of progression.
But the really big thing, wasn't it the damage model?
Oh, absolutely. That was huge. First time in the series with proper damage.
And it wasn't just visual, right? It actually affected how the car drove.
Exactly. Dents, losing wheels, engine trouble. It actually mattered if you crashed. Made you think a bit more. Quite advanced for the time.
And the cops got smarter, too, using roadblocks, spikes,
Yeah.
even helicopters.
Yeah, they really upped the ante on the pursuit AI, jersey barriers, hay bales, traffic, flares, and yeah, the police chopper debuted here. Made things way more dynamic.
Okay, stepping away slightly in 2000 with Need for Speed, Porsche Unleashed. Very different focus here.
Totally different. Basically a tribute to Porsche. 50 years of their sports cars.
Just Porsche. Set in Europe.
Yep.
All Porsche, all European tracks. The whole game was dedicated to that one brand.
I wouldn't have immediately thought just Porsche could carry a whole game like that, but the source seemed to really like it.
Well, it sounds like they went deep on the detail. Each model across the decades was supposedly really well simulated.
Accurate driving feel for each one.
That was the goal, plus customization with real licensed parts. You'd start with the old classics and work your way up through 50 years of Porsche history.
Okay, so like a real deep dive into just one manufacturer. Interesting choice.
Showed they were willing to try different things, maybe cater to the hardcore car nuts sometimes.
Okay, let's jump to 2002. Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit 2. New developer too, right? Black Box.
Yeah, Black Box took over, and this was the first one for the PS2 generation.
And it sounds like they went right back to what made the first Hot Pursuit work.
Pretty much. Fast tracks, lots of shortcuts, intense police chases really leaned into that arcade action.
The Metal Jesus Rocks guy actually calls this his personal favorite Need for Speed. Oh, really? What did he like so much?
That is the perfect mix. Arcade handling, great graphics for the PS2 launch window, fun tracks, awesome exotic cars.
That sweet spot. Accessible but thrilling. Looks good.
Yeah, sounds like a classic arcade racer formula done right.
And it had those weird, like, Matrix moves, looking ahead or around the car.
Oh, yeah. That quick look feature was actually pretty cool. Let you anticipate stuff or check on the cops behind you. Kind of unique.
Definitely sounds memorable. Okay, but then 2003, a massive shift. Need for Speed. Underground.
Huge shift.
Yeah.
This is where the tuner culture really took over the series.
Yeah, goodbye, fancy exotics. Hello, customizable everyday cars. Inspired by, like, Fast and the Furious.
Totally. Focus on import tuners, body kits, neon lights, all set within a story mode.
And it was all nighttime racing.
Exclusively nighttime. Gave it a very specific mood, plus graphical upgrades and new modes like drift and drag racing.
That tuner scene was exploding then.
Yeah.
Good timing. Absolutely tapped into the zeitgeist. The customization really hit home with players, and drifting, drag racing, added more variety.
So 2004 brings the sequel, Need for Speed, Underground 2. Continues the story.
And introduces the first open-world city for the series.
The open world era begins. Roaming around a city freely.
Yeah, letting players drive around, find races, shops. A big change. Lots of product placement, too, trying to make the city feel real.
But maybe not perfectly executed. The video mentioned the city could feel a bit empty sometimes.
That's a fair criticism you hear about some early open-world racers. Sometimes driving between events could feel a little tedious if the world wasn't packed enough. A balancing act.
Okay, 2005. Need for Speed, Most Wanted. This was an Xbox 360 launch title, though they showed the original Xbox version.
Right, and this one sort of blended things, kept the open world.
And brought back the big cop chases.
Exactly. High-intensity pursuits were back in focus, maybe a little less emphasis on the super deep customization from Underground.
A bit more balanced, maybe. And it had that story mode with the live-action cutscenes. Kind of cheesy.
Yeah, mixing CGI and live actors. It had a very distinct, almost self-aware B-movie vibe that a lot of people found really fun.
Our source ranks this one really high, too. Said the chases and graphics reminded him of Hot Pursuit 2, which he loved.
Makes sense. It captured that exciting chase dynamic again, just in open world this time.
All right, last one for this deep dive. 2006, Need for Speed Carbon. 10th game, back to nighttime.
Back to nighttime racing, yeah. But the big new thing here was the crew mechanic.
Oh, yeah, racing with a team. Wingmen.
Kind of. You had crew members with special skills. Some could find shortcuts. Others could block opponents or distract the police. Added a strategic layer.
And different types, right. Blockers, drafters, scouts. Based on car types.
Blockers used muscle cars. Drafters liked exotics. Scouts drove tuners. You had to build your team for the race.
So the goal was taking over the city, territory by territory, beating boss crews.
Pretty much. Conquer the map, defeat the bosses.
Yeah.
And for customization fans.
Auto sculpt.
Yeah, let you really push and pull and modify individual body parts in a crazy detailed way. A big step up for personalization.
Wow. Okay, so looking back at those first 10, it's quite the ride.
It really is. From that early realism attempt
To arcade fun, then the whole tuner culture explosion.
embracing open worlds, bringing back the cops.
They really weren't afraid to mix it up.
No, definitely not. Constantly reinventing itself, trying new things, responding to trends, but also, often coming back to those core ideas like the thrill of the chase.
And like we said at the start, it clearly worked. 5th best-selling franchise ever. That's huge.
It's an incredible legacy. Which kind of leads to a good question for you listening.
Yeah.
Well, after hearing about this evolution, these different phases, what do you think makes a great racing game today? What are the most important parts?
Good question. And thinking about all these older Need for Speed games, which classic elements would you want to see make a comeback?
There's definitely a lot of history there to pull from, food for thought.